The views expressed on the Nova Society are those of the panelists and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Phoenix Research Institute or any institution which any panel member is associated.
Welcome back to the Nova Society. I'm your host, Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, and I'm here with my panel, Dr. Scott Gershber and Dr. Mark Bound. Today we will be answering listener emails, and we have a question from Shelby, who lives in Baltimore, Maryland. And Shelby asks, okay, let me first say that I voted for President Trump in 2024, and although after only a few short months, I am beginning to question that vote, I'm not sure Kamala Harris would have been any better. But I admit I'm beginning to get scared. Trump sent troops to LA and DC and is threatening to send troops to Chicago and New York. That would be New York City. He has also mentioned sending troops to my city of Baltimore. Trump says it's all about immigration enforcement and crime prevention, but I'm beginning to doubt this narrative. There are competing ideas regarding the legality of sending National Guard troops into American cities. So, my first question is, do you think this is legal? The answer is no, although DC is different. Second, do you think this could escalate? Yes, I do. And the third is, could this turn into states using military force against the federalized troops? That would be using their own National Guards, such as New York State National Guard, against the federalized National Guard of another state? That's an interesting question. I'm not exactly sure. That one I'm not sure about. So what do you say, Mark and Scott, if Trump federalizes, let's say, New York State, and New York State's National Guard? I mean, there's only one National Guard in New York State. So there is no military force unless the federal military, the actual military, it decides.
Brooke, I think what the Shelby is getting at here is, if Trump decides to send the National Guard into New York City, let's say, he would probably ask red state governors to send their National Guards to New York. Because I don't think Governor Hochul would agree. And then what Shelby seems to be getting at is, would the New York State National Guard be mobilized to oppose an invasion by a red state National Guard in New York? And that is a situation that actually happened in France after the Franco-Prussian War. When the Prussians won that war, imposed a government on France, and created a revolution in France, because there were some people who were loyal to the crown, I guess, and other people who were loyal to the puppet emperor. And there was a civil war. That would be the situation, and I'm sure Trump would love every second of it, bloodshed in the streets of New York. A governor is not supposed to send the National Guard to another state without the governor of that state's permission. The question is, would they? Would Mike DeWine send Ohio troops to New York? Well, no, I don't think so. Would Tate Reeves in Mississippi? Yeah, he probably would. Would DeSantis? Not really sure. I'm going to go no. I know you're nodding, Brooke. You think that DeSantis would send the Florida National Guard to New York? I tend to think not, but I'm sure there are other governors out there who would. Would Phil Murphy send his National Guard to team up with the New York National Guard against the National Guards of DeSantis and Reeves? I mean, it's a weird. You can play these mind games, right?
Well, look at Hegseth's, rapid response, whatever. Yeah. So what makes you feel that DeSantis would not send Florida?
I mean, DeSantis is a moron, but he's not. I don't think he's as fanatic fanatical as all that. He's not the biggest Trump lover in the world. And I don't think, and he's a sycophant, but yes, but I don't think he would do something. He would be putting Florida's National Guard in harm's way, And again, these guys have lives. They have jobs. This is National Guard is something you sign up for to go to camp once a month to play Army, right? And now you're actually and sometimes they get mobilized. Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland, was in the National Guard. He ended up commanding troops in, I forget whether it was Iran or Afghanistan, Iraq or Afghanistan. It's serious. It's not a joke to be in the National Guard. It's a great thing to do, but it's not making the same commitment that a Marine makes or a soldier in the Army or a Navy. It's not like that. And I don't think Trump cares. He'll send them anyway. He'll do anything. He doesn't.
We have military.
He doesn't even know.
We have military up at Fort Drum, for example, in New York State, which is way up by the Canadian border. So, that's a good. You said, Scott, about Shelby's question of sending in, because Trump has threatened to do that, send federalized National Guard from one state, a red state, into a blue state. Over the objection, because he certainly went ahead and federalized California's National Guard over Newsom's objection, and there was no need to do that. And then he had the military as well, Trump, So, and I can see the DeWine in Ohio and Abbott, maybe somebody else would be apt to say yes and go ahead. Or someone else closer to New York State would be apt to say, yeah, for argument's sake. So what happens if that happens? I had not even thought of that as a possibility. And then Governor Hochul mobilizes the New York State National Guard.
Again, this is very highly speculative, but
I had never thought of that.
Yeah, well, I hadn't either, but I don't think that blue state governors want Trump national. Now, you are correct. He nationalized the National Guard in California, and Governor Newsom there opposed him in court, right? And that was an ongoing thing, whether he could do that or not. That's a reasonable response. But if he keeps losing in court and he ignores the judges, it might be a good time for an unreasonable response.
Yeah, this is an interesting question, and this is why we say that sending troops into cities that are not wanted there could escalate very, very quickly. I remember from, I don't know, 70s or the 80s, it was a comedy actually where they were two National Guard units and they were on the border of their two states and they were going to fight. And the two generals get out and they're both fat and they both have no idea what they're doing. And again, it was a comedy, but when I read this, I thought about that, because I thought, is that really possible? Is this what we're looking at? And I agree with Scott with, I think, how Shelby is framing the question. Is this doable? Is it legal? No, it is not legal. He has to be asked. He has to be asked to come in. However, the court battle's still going on in California. That's going both ways here. We're really not sure. And a lot of it comes down to definitions. Civil unrest. What does that really mean? Is crime civil unrest? I guess you could define it as that. I don't know. This is where, and let's remember, when somebody comes to play in somebody else's sandboxes, this would be the case. I don't think going into Chicago, when the governor of Illinois says, we don't want you here, don't come here, don't think that that's a good idea. And Trump's, well, we should get asked, but maybe we won't get to be asked. Could the governor, mobilize that National Guard in Illinois? Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this is really one of those slippery slope kind of things. And, we were talking about this when I was reading this question, and I was talking with my wife about it. She says, I don't understand why people aren't doing something about it. And at the same time, Cook, who was the Federal Reserve Chairman, Trump was trying to fire. That's never happened in 112 years. The system doesn't know what to do about it. No president has ever sent in National Guard like this to do policing. Now, yes, have the National Guard been sent in at times? Yes, they have been, no doubt. During the Civil Rights Movement, they sent in the military. Kennedy did it.
Look at Kent State and look at what happened.
Kent State, and we see what a disaster that was. Now, just imagine the National Guard goes in, and now somebody's shooting back at them. So this is a dangerous situation that we're looking at here. I mean, you could have state against state when it comes to this. And again, authoritarians love to divide and conquer. So this is just another tactic for an authoritarian tactic. This could get very dangerous. And these National Guard unit people who are not trained in policing, this is not what their function is. They're really great at disaster relief. They're really great at the things that they train for. But this is not one of them. And again, it's one of those instances where we sit back and we look at this and we say, yeah, you could see the scenario where this could completely blow up, and this could become a shit show really quickly. This could truly become a shit show. Go into Chicago. And my wife's from Chicago. And she goes, if they ever went into South Chicago, those people aren't going to put up with it. What if they come out with guns and they say, get off our streets? This is a possibility. And, Baltimore. And I understand, Baltimore, you still got high crime. I was listening to your governor saying, we reduced crime by 30%, this, that, the other, but you're still ranked third. I mean, you're still ranked third, which is not good. But, hey, you're making progress. And most of these governors are saying to the Trump administration, you want to help? You want to help in this instance? Give us back the funding to put in the programs that are working. This isn't it. This is a show on the part of Trump. And I think Scott's right. He's mentioned it a couple of times before in a few other podcasts that this is to normalize it. This is to make this look normal. But eventually he's going to go into the wrong city. And, yes, there's some of South Carolinians up in Washington, D.C. right now. Thankfully, as Scott was talking previously, they're not really policing. They're doing some of the things that, the park police did and things like that, because the park police are gone. Which is good.
But they are going to have weapons.
They're going to have weapons. And you know what?
Ammunition.
Okay. I don't have a problem. I honestly have less of a problem with that. Because you're sending, how many times do you send them in to a mission, even if the mission is the wrong mission, and say, oh, by the way, you don't get bullets? I mean, you just don't do that. You got to have them defend themselves if they need to, but they haven't had to. You hope that their training is good enough to avoid an escalation. Although, again, they're not trained to occupy. And that's basically what this is. This is an occupation. Shelby, this could become a shit show really fast because they're going to go into the wrong neighborhood, and it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well for anyone. And then it's going to escalate. And in some ways, you begin to wonder, you have to begin to ask yourself, is that what the administration wants? Maybe that's the excuse they're looking for. Maybe they go into Baltimore, and maybe there's a neighborhood they go into, and those Baltimore citizens say, no, we won't stand for this. This is occupation. We won't stand for it, and come out in force. And there's a lot of guns in the United States. and they come out and they challenge that occupying force. Maybe that's exactly what Trump's looking for, is an excuse to say, "Hey, look what happened. Now I've got to take over," which is a very big possibility.
Yeah, I have to admit, I had not thought of that, and that's a really interesting point you're making there. That a divide and conquer strategy. Brooke had earlier mentioned the QRF, right? The quick reaction force, and the idea there is to have a group of National Guardsmen from various states put together, trained together, and ready to go at a moment's notice to quell public protest, to chill speech, to intimidate voters, to, I don't know, whatever else Trump has in mind. But the idea of this is, is just crazy, because they've got to train these guys and keep them housed, basically, and ready to get on an aircraft to fly them anywhere in the country, right? And they're supposed to be stationed in either Arizona or Alabama or Alabama. I mean, this is hundreds of millions of dollars for something that's not necessary. Nobody has ever asked for it. Nobody wants it. And you're disrupting the lives of the people who signed up for the National Guard in order to do it. It's so extreme that one of the consequences, Shelby, is that people will quit the National Guard, or you'll at least find it hard to recruit for the National Guard, because who wants to be put in this situation? The National Guard had to go in North Carolina after floods and help clear roads and help people out and keep order there, and and do good work, but for a week, for a small period of time, and then go back to their lives. Trump is talking about something else entirely. He's continuing to build his ICE army, a military force capable of doing whatever he wants to do within the USA. And the National Guard is part of that force, as are, proud, let's face it, Proud Boys and Oath Keepers and etc., who have really lost the desire that they had to rebel against the United States of America, because this is the United States of America that they always wanted. And boy, it's the opposite of the United States that I always wanted. So it's it being really interesting, very destabilizing, very divide and conquer, yeah. And real game changer. So yeah, you need to be. Now, what you thought Kamala Harris was going to do, Shelby, that I'm kind of curious about. because how would Kamala Harris not be better? I mean, Kamala Harris did nothing but keep the Biden policies in place. With inflation coming down, the economy, the envy of the world, according to Economist magazine, not exactly a left-wing shill. Peace in the world. Yes, we are helping Ukraine fight, but there were no boots on the ground. Now Trump can't promise that, because he's already talked about. He says he won't use U.S. troops, but we heard that from LBJ about Vietnam. There's no way I would trust Trump not to put U.S. troops in Ukraine. We're entering a very, very bad recessionary period economically. The biggest difference between Trump 1 and Trump 2 may be that during Trump 1, he claimed credit for something that he had, economy he inherited, and was content to do that. Yes, Ryan finally got his big tax bill, right? Paul Ryan. And yes, it began to have a desultory effect on the economy in 2019. Yes, he did that. But then, of course, 2020 came, and within 3 months of 2020 starting, the entire economy shut down, and COVID, wreaked havoc on everybody. Trump was a poor first-term president who really should never have run again in 2020, but he did run again, and he lost, rightfully so. I don't understand how anybody could have voted for him a second time. You must be out of your freaking mind for thinking that Trump would be better than Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris could do nothing and be much, much better than Trump. And, I'm sorry, she's a black woman or, mixed race woman and kind of has an annoying voice and cackles too much and all that kind of stuff. Big deal. Look at the situation that we're heading into right now in this country is abominable. And he's heading straight ahead, and he won't listen to reason. He doesn't believe his poll numbers. He doesn't believe Fed numbers. He doesn't believe in the weather. He doesn't like anything that goes against what he personally wishes was true is in danger. How could anybody think Hillary Clinton would have been much better than Trump?
Yeah.
How could anybody think otherwise? I don't understand it.
Well, and again, we're happy that Shelby wrote in and asked the question, and thank you, for self-identifying as a Trump voter. Okay, and we're happy to hear that you're beginning to have second thoughts. We wish you had it before you cast your vote, but hey, that's just kind of the way it goes.
It's not like Trump didn't tell what he was going to do. He said this. He said he would be a dictator.
I totally understand. I get it. But, again.
You think he kids around? He's not kidding around.
No, I agree. And again, hopefully there's more people like Shelby that are thinking this way and saying, wait a minute.
I want to ask Shelby if Shelby is incredibly wealthy and wants to avoid paying taxes because the income tax is going. Trump is trying to destroy the income tax and replace it with tariffs, which is the most regressive tax you could possibly have. But they're raising a ton of money with tariffs, and guess who's paying it? Us, consumers. Yes. He's fleecing you, Shelby. He's fleecing you. Be angry.
Absolutely. And next time,
keep writing. I love it.
Yeah. I don't want to alienate her. I mean,
don't give up on us.
Come on, Shelby, right back into us. Last time we asked somebody to do that, it was who was that? Thomas in someplace that wrote back, or
James
from Dallas.
Oh, James. Oh, yeah. Oh, and it just got worse. It got worse. The second one was worse. And we haven't heard from James since. And
which is too
James,
bad.
Come on, man.
I was hoping that James would have something else
please.
to say.
You guys don't care, but I'm the one that has to read the emails.
Yeah, I know.
So, no, I mean, that's a little painful. Come on, guys. Show me a little love here.
Well, but I want to hear from Red State America more than I want to hear from Edmonton. I mean, it's more. It's better for us to have this dialogue, as such as it is, with people who don't agree with us.
Well, I think, Scott, you're going to find that, again, some people that write into us think that we're an echo chamber, that this is a place to come for your confirmation bias. And, we have a whole bunch of subscribers and listeners, and we appreciate every single one of them, but they're probably more left-leaning than right-leaning. And I can say that because they all think I'm the conservative. Pretty much, when they start talking about each one of us, I'm the conservative of the bunch.
Right.
And it was like, wow, I didn't know that I was the conservative. Now, I admit, I'm socially liberal, but I am policy conservative. Always have been. But to many of our listeners, a vast majority, I'm the conservative. Scott, you're the progressive. And Brooklyn, you are the liberal.
Okay.
And that's the way they divide us out.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, it is extremely interesting the way they see that. And we are going to do one thing next week, just because this is the last one for this week. Remember when we asked them to do a lookup on us on
Yes.
on
Yes, I do.
ChatGPT and all the rest of them?
Yes, I do.
We got about 150 emails who
Wow.
actually took that challenge. And some of the responses, what they've got, and they actually use some AI that I had never heard of. So that's why I didn't do it this week. We're going to do it next week so I could just check out these AI programs that they're using and see what they got. And some of it's hilarious. I'm honestly, it's good.
Okay.
That's going to be a terribly fun program because it is absolutely hilarious the way some of these AIs describe each and every one of us and the podcast itself. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, we might devote 2 shows to that one because it's going to be hilarious.
Well, at least something will be amusing.
It'll be amusing. Amusing as hell.
Well, that's
all right.
great. So yeah, Shelby. Thank you for your
and right
email.
back, Shelby. Come on.
Yes,
right
please
back.
do.
It'll be all right.
Please do. And thank you for disclosing and your vote and for being authentic. And I understand you're being fearful, and it certainly is understandable. And it'd be interesting. I would very much like to have you write back. If you're an action type of person, what are you thinking for your future? Do you want to be a poll watcher? Do you want to just sit tight, wait it out?
Why you think Kamala Harris wouldn't have been any better?
Yeah, would have
actually
been
not any better. So
not any better
because Scott is sitting here waiting. He wants to hear that, and we'll make sure that Scott's nice.
Yes, and I had
we'll keep him under control.
I don't know how you can do that, but go ahead.
I had also noted that part of the email and wondered what exactly, Shelby, that you were thinking of. I mean, we the nation wouldn't have pardoned January 6th people running around. We wouldn't have tariffs destroying the economy. We wouldn't have alienated our allies. We would not have Vladimir Putin coming to Alaska. We wouldn't have Pam Bondi as the Attorney General and Pete Hegseth and all these people.
If I was to make a guess, and please, Shelby, do not send it in just because I'm making this guess. I'm thinking she was thinking the economy, because the nation, for whatever reason, does not believe Democrats take the economy to handle the economy as well as Republicans, which is a proven falsehood. But I think a lot of people do, have that impression, and it's unfortunate. So please, Shelby, right back. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Would love to hear from you, and we'll make sure that Scott's in a good mood so that he doesn't lose his mind and go more great than he already is,
or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know what? What could we give Shelby an assignment? I mean, Shelby, how about this? Just can you get back to us with what you think about Trump taking pieces of companies and forming a new company called the Trump Media Group CRO Strategy Incorporated, which made about $50 million in about an hour last night. Tell us what you think about that, because I remember when Obama nationalized General Motors for a time to sort of get them back on their feet again after 2009, and people screaming about socialism. And now Trump is doing this with no emergency. Intel is not a great company. He's lost a lot of market share to better companies like NVIDIA. But it's not in a dangerous place, and it's not going to. And if Intel disappeared tomorrow, it would cost jobs, yes, but people would find a substitute. So this is, I mean, if Obama committed socialism, then Trump is also. And how are you justifying it? Please look into that and get back to me on that. Thank you, Shelby.
You go.
Alrighty. Yeah, and I, of course, want to know whether Shelby has any plans to leaves the country and what the trigger point would be. That is always my question. I'm very curious to know what it takes for people to make that decision and whether you have a passport. And thank you for listening, and thank you to all of our listeners. We appreciate that you're spending some of your time with us. Do please send us your emails, your thoughts and comments. We appreciate those. And if you are not yet subscribed on the platform of your choice, please do so. So we'll see you again next time on the Nova Society.
The Nova Society is a production of Nova Society Media, a division of the Phoenix Research Institute. We'd like to thank our production partners, Buzzsprout, who hosts the Nova Society, Audacity, our editing partners, Apple iTunes, the largest source of podcasts and music on the internet, Spotify, the most popular platform for the Nova Society, and iHeartRadio, your source for all things music and podcasting. The Nova Society is available on all of these and other quality platforms listed in our description. We'd also like to thank all of our listeners. Without your support, the Nova Society would not be possible. If you have a question or comment, we can be reached at nova.society.podcast@gmail.com. So for Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, Dr. Scott Gershwer, and all of our production partners here at the Nova Society, I'm Dr. Mark Bound. Remember, the true power in society is knowledge. Thanks for listening, and we will see you again next time. We'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, BH Conflict Resolution Services, a full-service dispute resolution firm offering expert, cost-effective mediation services to couples, groups, and businesses. BHCRS can be reached at www.bhcrs.com.